It looks like we're live.
We are.
And it looks like we were live a minute ago. So, how are you this morning?
Really good.
We're gonna iron that out. Somehow it goes live before you're ready to go live. Okay. Welcome everybody to the first episode of the Adventure Being You show, or the Being You Adventure show. I will get the name right sometime, I'm sure. But episode 2. I am here today with one of my favorite people, one of our Being You Certified Facilitators, and she is actually the reason why we have this show. So I wanted to talk to you first, Doris, about how our show here came to birth and like what that looked like for you in co-creation. What we want to do, you guys, is bring these conversations about being you out in the world. And Doris had an awareness about these conversations, and I'll let you take it from there, Doris. Let everybody know.
Thank you so much, Sarah. So as a Being You facilitator, we have this amazing WhatsApp group where we are all in and contribute to each other and have conversations. And this is really this amazing group from all over the world, where someone would say, you know, this is going on in my world, in my life. Can you please contribute to me? Or we cheer us up with our workshops and classes that we do. And it's just beautiful. And recently, I was sitting here and I was like, I would love to have more Being You conversations out there and bring all of this, what we love so much, even more to people out there. Because we just, we just dive into this and we love it. And we have it with each other. And I'm like, how many more people can listen to us and can know what we know and can experience and can acknowledge for themselves what's possible. So I put it in one day. I said, hey guys, what else is possible? I'd like to create something. I don't know what it is, but something is possible now. And then
okay, but I have to back you up a little bit, because you came in and said, I would love to contribute to other Being You Certified Facilitators classes. That's what you did, Doris. So pardon my voice, you guys. I've been dealing with some laryngitis. So you get the sexy voice today. I don't know about next week. But anyways, you came in and you said, hey, who has classes on the books that I can contribute to? And that is a completely different energy than where a lot of people function from. And because a lot of people in this reality choose competition over oneness, over communion, over co-creation. And what you did was you came in and offered a completely different possibility. And not that it wasn't already alive in the Being You group, but the way that you put it in was like, hey, it's not even from a place of like, I have anything to gain here as far as like, you promo my class, I'll promo yours. It's like, hey, what contribution can I be to this being out in the world even more? And then that question alone opened up space for everybody to come in and feel like they could totally contribute to the idea. And then it started to grow. And that's what's really cool about like the creations within Access Consciousness. For those of you who are just joining us, Doris and I are both Being You Certified Facilitators of Access, which is from the Being You Changing the World book by Dr. Dain Heer. And it's we are first Access Consciousness facilitators before we become Being You facilitators. And what's really cool about where we create from in Access is that like, hey, lower walls and barriers, let's create together, let's do co-creation. And your idea, but your first question was, how can I be a contribution? And that was like so awesome. I know that that's possible in the world, and if more of us keep choosing it, then it'll start showing up more and more. And so I'm like super, super, super grateful for you. So the way we set this up is that I'm going to be interviewing one Being You Certified Facilitator each week, and what we ask them to do is bring a topic, because what we want to do is know what's up in your world, what's going on in your classes, what conversations are you having. And Doris brought the topic of the beauty of being you. So I would love to know, like, what is that for you, Doris?
So I chose this topic first because it's our first show, and I'm like, there is such a beauty in being you that we often doubt, or no one is talking about it. you know. And even before the show, I was looking at back to my life, what is going on. And I have to say, when I was younger, a teenager, I remember that for myself, I always thought, I'm a good person. Like, I'm really lovely and I'm contributive. I'm lovely to people. I would help people. I would support people. I would also stand up. And if someone would be like really rude, I would really like, it was then not easy for me, with me, because I was also really straightforward. But I was sitting in my room sometimes like thinking, why am I wrong? Like, am I not good enough? I was like seeing myself as a gift in any way, but it was not acknowledged from the outside so much. So I was doubting myself. So
would you say your thing, like, would you, when you're younger, you were always looking for the acknowledgement to come from other people? And was that more,
yes.
Would you say that was more valuable at the time than your own acknowledgement of you being?
I would say I was really good with myself, but I would fight for being right for other people.
Oh, okay.
You know? Yeah. I'm not sure if it's the acknowledgement at all, but I would fight for being right for other people and being good enough.
Right.
Yes, and having the acknowledgement, that's true. Yeah, totally. But I was good with myself. And there was something in my world when I was a teenager where I'm like, there is something else possible in this world, I have to say. And this brings such a big smile to my face that I have like found this book and all these tools, because this matches so much the energy what I knew back then. You know, I would always be a person of supporting other people. Yeah, and would help them. And then I have to say, getting older and older and older, I would say I would more buy into the points of view of other people than I had when I was younger.
Yeah.
Like today, I was surprised before the show. I was looking at it. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. When I would look back, I was somehow stronger as a teenager. With then growing up, and more as I grew older, it became harder.
Right. Well, I feel like there's like a small list that you have to judge yourself by when you're a kid, because you're like, you get a little more freedom to be a kid, right? Like you might not always match, you might have like dirt on your clothes, you know, there's like certain allowances for your like learning because you're little. And then, excuse me, there's that. Then you grow up and like the list in which you have to like check yourself by and judge yourself by gets bigger and bigger. Like get into high school. And now like the kids these days, like they are finding their idea of beauty or of like self-acceptance and all that is like so much of what's like online, what social media is putting out there. If they have the greatest like Insta page or whatever, there's so much more nowadays than even when we were younger to judge ourselves by. And that list does get harder because the list does get bigger. Absolutely. Yeah. And so Doris, like at what point did you start to seek like other things that were possible than what was showing you in this reality?
Oh, I would say I always believed in that there is something else. And I was, when I look back now, and I have to say this, it's really a looking back of going through my life. In a way, I was always asking for whatever is out there, please show me where this is that I know. Like this was a question when I was a teenager and going on and like, where is this what I know? Please show me. And then I put myself, you know, in all the form and structure of what people want us to see. You know, I have a family, I have 2 kids. Now I'm divorced, but I started off like put myself in all these things that are the expectations and projections of people, what you have to have in your life when you are this old or this old or this old. And then I came to a point where I was like, okay, I have all of this. Like I have a house, I have kids, I have a husband, I have a dog, I have a car, you know, right? All these things. And
you're supposed to be happy. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not happy. I'm really, and I was one of the happiest people where I lived. Like people would say to me, you're such a sunshine. And I'm like, yeah, I know when I look around, I'm not. You know, this was weird for me. Like people would see me as this happy sunshine person, and I have been, and still it was like, but I'm not. So what else is possible here?
Yeah.
And yeah, and then I was invited to this amazing access consciousness tools and the access bars. And I have to say, it took me almost 1 year to take my first class. I was like, no, I don't go there. No, whatever this is, don't do this.
Isn't that interesting? You know, Dr. Dain, when he talked about his first bars experience, he talks about how when he first saw the ad in the paper that said, all of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory, call Shannon, which is what he eventually did. He says that he knew enough to know that if he's like, no, I don't want that, or yes, I want, like, if there's an intensity around something in his world, that he knew enough to know that there was something there for him. So how much of, like, when we go into resistance, like, no, I'm not going to choose that, I'm not going to go, no, never, that there's actually where, like, the possibility lies. Did you find that to be true too? Like when you avoided it for a year?
Totally. Yeah. I have to say, like, for me, it was like, I'm not a person that is researching a lot. So at the moment when I went to my first class, I have known who Dain is, but I looked up the access bars. And my story is that I saw pictures of people in rooms lying there and touching each other on their head. And back then, for me, it was like, oh my God, what are they doing here?
So weird, right?
It was a little weird for me. But I came to a point in my life where I'll tell you a little bit of my story. Like some topics like came over and over again into my life, you know, where I felt wrong, where I felt I'm not enough, where I felt I don't have the support that I would love to have in my life. So I was searching and searching. And in this year, half a year before I did my first class, I would go onto a mountain and would be there for 10 days. And within the 10 days, I was alone on the mountain for 4 days and 4 nights, without a tent, without anything. Like putting me out there and like being with nature and being with this thing. And it was intense, you know, because there are animals around and you're just with yourself and no one else is around and you can like be like us, you know. So I have started my journey of an adventure of being up there. And I really had these moments where I was like, oh my God, I'm so alone. And then it started that I realized, no, there's a tree. No, there's a bird. So there I got a little bit as well, I'm not alone. There's I'm a lot of surrounded with beautiful things. If I would receive it, it would get better. And it did. So after these 4 days and 4 nights of being up there, when I came down, I was so strong, really. I was like so strong, so unstoppable. And I was like, okay, now nothing can stop me. And I would say 4 months later, like the circle came back, some topics came back, and I'm like, oh my fucking God, like, this cannot be. Like I would sit up there and do all these things and like take the courage and put everything in, take the time off for myself, and then it comes back, and I'm like, no. And then again, I got an invite for an access bars class, and I'm like, okay, now I've been up there, whatever this is, it cannot destroy me. I will go there. So I didn't not really know what it is and went there. And I think I'm one of the people that don't know how my first bar session was, but I knew when I drove home from this one day, I knew that this was the thing I was asking for. I was so happy. And I had this sense in my world. It's like, this is what I was asking for when I was a teenager. Wow. And I was like, oh my God, thank you so much for bringing in whatever is coming now. I'm in.
That's awesome. For those of you who are just joining us, just want to let you know what's going on here. We're the Being You Adventure Show. This is Doris. She's a BYCF, which is a Being You Certified Facilitator. I'm Sarah Grandinetti, and I'm also a Being You Certified Facilitator. And Doris is talking about her journey to choose the access bars, to choose consciousness, and then her road to becoming a certified facilitator and then a Being You Certified Facilitator.
Yeah.
And so what you're like, what I got from that is that that space of being that you created for yourself by going to the top of the mountain actually gave you the courage to go and choose bars, choose like whatever. And then meaning like, you tapped into the greatness of you. And and for some people, like that might be a mountaintop. I don't know if I would choose it. I like don't love snakes. I'm not good in the cold. I'm not sure.
Fun.
But I could like do like, I could do, you know, like a European like solo tour in like really nice hotels and find the greatness of me. I just want everybody to know that basically like the greatness of you is you. So if you finding that in the mountains is awesome. You finding that, you know, wherever it is that you get back to you, that's the invitation we want this to be. Because if you're anything like me and you're listening to Doris, I'd be like, no. I am not that brave. I do not have any Girl Scout, you know, tours. I don't know anything about like putting up tents or finding.
There was no tent. There was no tent.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Then that's even scarier, Doris. No. But hey, that's the beauty of the Being You tools is like, it's about being you.
But I have to tell you something, because you mentioned it, and it really goes into it, where I got this acknowledgement. When I was up on this mountain, they told me beforehand, there are the most dangerous snakes up there in Austria. So it was like, oh, thank you for telling me on the first day when I already booked all of this. So I was up there. And then once a day you would go and get water. You know, we have good water up there. So I would walk, and then really in front of me showed up this snake. And I knew, okay, this is one of these dangerous things. And she would stop and I would stop, and we were really close. And I was staying there, I was like, okay, what do I do now? And it took minutes, and she would not move and not move and not move. And then at one point I'm like, okay, I tell you something, I will take a step back, and please do go further, do whatever. And I tell you something, in a second when I stepped back, she would leave. So I gave her room and she would leave. And I was like, oh my God, I could talk to her. Like all these things happened up there, you know, and where it started, what I acknowledge more and more with Being You and with the adventure and with the classes and with everything that Dain wrote in his book, it started up there for me. And I was like, okay, cool. There is a connection. There is a conversation possible. And it's just if we choose it and if we be it. And this was amazing. It was really intense and at the same time really beautiful.
Yeah, I can tell. I'm going to do my best to just talk to like, you know, the really nice people who bring your food to your room in the hotels that I go to. You talk to snakes. We'll change the world together, I promise. Hey, you guys, anybody who's on right now that wants to ask questions, I actually do have it live on my phone. So you can totally ask questions of Doris. And again, if you're just joining us, it's the Being You Adventure Show. Our maiden voyage here with the one that birthed the idea, Doris, and myself, Sarah Grandinetti. Alexa, if you're watching, who is one of our Being You supporters, would you put a link to where people can find the Being You book? Because one of the things I'd love to talk about, Doris, is where this beautiful piece of work came into your life. And I know, like for me, the first couple pages, I was like, okay, all right, you got me, right? So I was just wondering, like, where, when did you find Dr. Dain's book, and what can you tell me about like how it changed you?
I'm not exactly sure where I found it, but I know at this past class that I went, they told me, you know, the next class is a 4-day something and you get all the tools of this. And I'm like, okay, cool, I'm in. So I went to a friend of mine to a class that I haven't known who this is. You know, I just like, okay, I'm in. And then there they told me, you know, this amazing guy is coming from America doing a class first time in Vienna. And I'm like, okay, cool, I'm in. So I didn't know.
Did you always choose like that though? Was that always your way of choosing?
Yeah.
Okay. Because a lot of people need to like work through it for 3 weeks.
I know.
Okay.
No,
okay, cool. You're just like, all right. I get it.
Like, whatever. And I was at home, I was a stay-home mom. Like, it's not that I had all this money,
Oh,
but I totally knew I need to be there. And so I came to this class in Vienna, and Dain showed up, and I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. And all these people were there, and I guess I bought this book there. I'm not really sure. And it was his first time of doing an ESP class in Vienna years ago. And it was a big thing. It was just a big thing. And I was, with every moment I was there, I got happier and happier and more acknowledged, and the release in my body. And yeah. And then they told me, this other guy from America is coming to Dublin the next month. And I'm like, okay, cool, I'm there. So I went there. And then Dain did his sessions in the COP class with Gary. And when he asked you put your name on the list, and I was like, okay, I'll put my name there. I didn't know how to pay it, but it was like the draw to like do this. And I'm like, I'm here now. I flew over. I have my kids at home. I put everything in that I have. So let's do everything here and receive whatever we can receive. And so I put my name on the list. And then after half a day, I was like, but how would this guy choose me? He never saw me. What does he like, really my head? And so I walked over really, really nervous and said, hi. This was so funny. Like, hi, just wanted to say hi because I'm on your list, and maybe I don't want to hide because I only have 2 days to be chosen. So, and yeah, and then it went on. I got my session as well, and this exploded my world totally. This kindness and caring, and I'm like again, whatever this is, I will go on. I would love to have more of this in my life and for my kids and for other people. And I was at home. So, and my question when I was at home with my kids was, what would it take really before I found Access? Was like, I would like to be my own boss. I know something more than with a social worker. You're always in institution where they have rules, what's possible, what's not possible, how much money is there, what you can do with your clients and what you cannot do. And I always knew there's something else possible. So I was like, I asked for this, and it came into my life. And when I got after the first fast day, what was in my world is like, whatever this is, this will be my business.
that's amazing. That's amazing.
And the book, because you asked, I'm a good storyteller as well. The book, like, I started to read the book. I have to say, I immediately bought the audio version because I'm not the best reader. And I got Dain to read it to me. And I heard it over and over again in my car. And I just loved it, I heard over and over the same. And the 7, I don't know how it is now, but back then there were 7 CDs. And I put them in, I would play them, and I would just drive the car and be happy and loved it. And I told other people, and I have always a bunch of these books at my home that I can gift it to people, that I can share it, and that I can spread because it's amazing.
Yeah. Actually, I think I put the wrong one. I think I wanted people to be able to get the book if they don't have it yet. So if you go to Dr. Dain Heer, I'm going to put that in here, .com. I put it in there. It's not like an appropriate link, but anyways, I'm trying to host a show and also put links in. So
asking.
Yeah, drdainheer.com if you want to look at where to get the Being You Changing the World book. It totally has changed both of our lives. We both get to facilitate a class that was birthed out of the book. And the thing I love about these classes is it really is the giving people like that first taste of question, that first taste of like, what if what you've bought is you isn't you? Because what I've been aware of lately, and I'm sure it's the same with where you're at in Austria, right? You're in Austria. Mm-hmm. We didn't say that before, but is that the Be You message is everywhere. Like over here in the States, it's like my kids have t-shirts at the wazoo. There's like stickers for your wall. There's like painting, like Be You everywhere, right? But there's no like how, because like what I got was that a lot of people are like, but I was born this person I was given this name. I'm still this person with this name. So I'm me. So of course I'm being me. But what in actuality, what's the version of you that you've bought is real and true are a lot of times from the points of view that you've bought growing up from people, or say situations that that had a pain reference or a joy reference. So it's like, oh, this worked in this reality, so I'm going to be more like that, or this didn't work and it caused me like heartache, so I'm going to be less like that. And then we navigate like who we be as adults at some point based on all of these reference points and like decisions about how everybody else thought we should be, like our parents and what our parents raised us up as, like what their moral values were and all that. Whereas at some point you get to your, like you said, at a place in life where you're like, I have all the things. I have the kids, I have the husband, I have the house. I think you said a dog and a cat.
Mm-hmm.
I probably had a car in the driveway, right? So you have all the things and you're like, why am I like not happy? I did this reality right. And a lot of it is because you're not actually being you in these relationships, in this job, in this house, with this cat, right? And so what your cat's like, fuck you.
But it was a little bit like this. My dog, like I had really not an easy time with my dog, not at all. And since I'm more of me, we get along easier. Like it was really interesting. I had a really interesting time. And then at one point, and it might seem like weird, but I had really a time where I changed a lot in my life the last 2 years. But a moment with this talk, and I really got up, she also like kicked me out of what I have chosen. And I'm like, oh, this is going on. And it doesn't, like if you have problems with your dog or your cat, it doesn't need to be like this. But I had this. And I have to say, when you talk about what we put ourselves in, what I got in the last 2 weeks for myself at Being You classes with Dain, like I'm a good fighter. I'm really a good fighter, and this can sometimes be something really good when you sometimes someone else tells you you're always fighting for everything. It's like, yes, I do, but at the same time it can be a trap, because fighting can be hard work, and it comes also from a place where it might be not that easy. And this was it for me as well. I would fight for things, and it's much easier to ask for it. It's much easier to come from the space of what else is possible. So this has changed a lot. So, and I was stunned when it came up of like this where I put myself in. This is like something really good to be a fighter. You know, this, how do you say this in English? This Amazonas hero fighter girl, you know, where people would say, oh my God, you're so cool. And I'm like, yes, I'm so cool. But it also was in my way.
A lot of times, do you notice that a lot of things that we judge as like right, that we have right and we have good, are the things we won't look at. Those are the things that we're like, okay, this is all handled. Just look at this shit pile I have over here. But this is the stuff we're so attached to not changing, that it's what locks us up even more to be like greater than what we like actually currently are, because we bought into this being the right thing. I know for me, I was problem solving, or even a fighter. I was totally a fighter too. And I'm like, if I could solve the world's problems, like with my pinky, like I could just touch it and it'll change. So this is like, just give me all of the world's problems. And so then I just would keep creating problems so that I could be the world's problem solver. And the people would bring them to me on my doorstep and be like, here's the problem. And I'd be like, I will take it gladly because I am the problem solver. And then all I had around me were problems. It's so cute the way we do that.
And the others,
when you take that label off, you have to actually be like what I always say, like, do you want to be a problem solver or a possibility seeker? So then you're actually out looking for what else is possible. Like, hey, how can we change this? And it doesn't have to be the problem solving energy that you be. I would love to, you mentioned going to Dain's class. You just came out of Dain's classes and something shifted. And I know he just did the magic class and the future class in Slovenia. And there were one-day classes. And one of the other things that Dain does is Taste of Being classes that are no prereqs, like, well, Being You doesn't have prereqs either. So they're all good. But Taste of Being classes that he always picks a topic that's like super current or things that are moving around. And next week he has Global Foundation coming up. And for those of you who don't know, that is a once-a-year class he does with Gary Douglas, and they rewrite the manual that Doris and I also teach. So more on that info if you'd like later. But he has a class coming up next week that is, I'm super excited because I am also a mom of some X-Men, and I would love to know what you know about X-Men, because I'm going to say that right now in a Year Being You group, and people are like, X-Men, isn't that a movie that, you know, Marvel made? But we have a different way of looking at things that access, and we label X-Men, or not label, we call it X-Men. So next week he's doing a Taste of Being X-Men class that, like, I am so, are you going to be on it? I am like so excited.
You know, I will do my very, very best to be on it. It's in the middle of the night for me, but I have like, this is something where a lot of times I'm like, I'm on that. And most of the time I can't sleep, so, because I know something is going on, like, in people like have close conversations. So I think so, and I'm excited as well. And for me, I have to say, like these X-Men movies, they are not far away from me, from what we are talking about. Mm-hmm. It's just that we think when we watch these movies, oh, it's only in the movie, and we don't have these capacities. But it doesn't look like this, you know. Maybe we cannot like have fire out of our eyes or whatever, but it's the energy of what you're being, and not like you might be able to have like fire coming out of your eyes, but it's the energy of it, you know. So I love all these movies, and it's something where also since I'm a kid, I would like be drawn to all these things of magic and potency and Superman, whatever this is, and witches. So for me, with what Dain always says at the beginning of a class, he says, I'm autistic and have OCD and ADHD, or whatever this is called in English. And when I first heard it, I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I heard him over and over. I'm like, okay, it was light in my world. And I go a lot of in class of whatever, if I don't understand it, because English is not my first language, but is it light in my world? And I was like, yeah, it's light. Okay, cool. But it would be something where I would not put myself in. I'm like, I'm not sure. And also like, is this good? Is this bad? Whatever is this? You know, a little bit of, I'm not sure.
Can I interrupt really quick? What, because you said it really fast, but what Dain opens up every class, well, not every class, but a lot of classes, saying like, pardon me, because what he does is he'll be talking like about something, and then he'll go over here and then promise to get back over here. But if he doesn't get distracted on his way back, because he might go over here. So he always says like, hey, like I'm OCD, ADD, and ADHD all rolled into one. And that's not making a joke. Actually, I think a lot of people take that as a joke, but it's literally like he has these capacities to have like a spherical awareness. And a lot of us and our kids do. And we call those people X-Men. And that is like if you deal with an amount of like OCD or whatever that is, like a compulsive kind of thing, or if you can't stay on track a lot of the times, it's because you're aware of so many things going on around you, and staying linear is a harder task, if you will. And so instead, in this reality, we make those kids wrong, or adults, and we oftentimes label them and then medicate them so that they can get back into the linear world. And what Access is actually doing is inviting us to see it as a capacity, and to actually celebrate it and see where else, if they were celebrated, like where else those capacities could take us.
Yeah.
So back to your story. I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure that if anybody.
No, I love this. And okay. This is so brilliant, because this is what happens with me as well. You see, even in this conversation we have, I would jump around. I'm like, oh no, she asked me this. And this weekend, when I had a conversation with him, he's like, you're fucking autistic. And I'm like, that's so true. And he talked about it and acknowledged what he knows about me. And I'm like, that's so true. So it's also a different way of looking at it, and also the how we talk about it. you know. It's like this, having like this immense awareness of things, and a lot of things that's going on around us and in our heads, that it is not ours, and that we acknowledge it, and that we are aware of a lot of things at the same time. And acknowledging this is such a gift. And it's nothing that it's significant, or nothing like that I need to do anything about it. It's something that relaxes your being and your body, of like, how this is going on, how this is going on. So I'm even more excited about the class and finding out for myself. And as you mentioned, for kids, and as I have 2 kids, I would say, oh my God, they are X-Men as well, especially my son. And one specific thing that is hard for people that have a lot of awareness, and whatever you want to call it, is looking other people into the eyes. And I would make myself wrong if I'm not doing it. And I also told myself where I could have ease and, you know, have my own tools, like being friendly with people and polite, because some people have this expectation in their world and they can't understand. So I got it for myself. But I get with my son, for example, that I sometimes, even now, I need to you know, be also easy with me. Like I would like talk to him and I'm like, what is with you? Why? And then I'm like reminding myself, oh, he doesn't need to look into my eyes to have a conversation with me, you know? And I'm so grateful that I have these tools, that I can have ease with people, and also have the knowing and have the information, and can ask questions around it if I'm in a situation where I'm like, what's going on with you? You know, sometimes we are also like, what is with you? and it's just sometimes missing information, and it makes life so much easier. So I really wonder what he will bring us. And it's around 2-hour class, and we know Dain is always full in. Like the Monday classes, he did 3-day classes, and like he's such
I've been joking lately. I was like, Dain doing taster classes. Like the taster is like, you know, you go into a store, you get like this big, right? And I was like, he does like big gulps. Like you think you're getting a taster, he's like, here, try this. It's like so incredible what you get out of like signing up for a 2-hour taster. And the cool thing is that this class is being streamed online. So if you're watching this and you're like, I want to know more about X-Men, because if you have any kids in your life, and it doesn't have to be kids, it's just that when they're children and they're being like judged or segregated, separated, medicated, like all those things, if you're the one in their life that actually sees them to have a capacity, you might be the one that could change them. Whereas when we get to the adults, it's not that we don't acknowledge it in adults, but there's just a different like thing. Like I think a lot of people in Access, or a lot of parents, often say, and see, I'm doing it right now. I'm like, oh my God, I have 17 sentences. A lot of parents in Access are always like, oh, I wish I would have had this like when I was raising my kids when they were younger. I wish I would have had these tools when I was a kid. And so not to say that X-Men is just for like people with children around. It's just, there's this like really cool possibility of the future if you're looking for like, how do I deal with this? How do I be with my X-Men child? How do I be with like the daycare I run when there's like four X-Men running around or whatever? Like how can you encourage them to be them in their capacities, and to see it as a capacity first? Because if you have the judgment in your world that there's something wrong with them, then you will stick them with that, and then they have to fight that the rest of their lives. But if you were able to see the magic that they be, and the complement that they are, the expansion that they are to this reality or to the world, how much greater would the world be? So that is next week. I know that there are some links in here if you're just joining. It is definitely worth your time and money, and you can easily join online for that. Doris, before we go, I would love to hear about like what classes you have coming up, and where you're going to be in the world, and where people can find more of you, and all those good things.
So I'm doing a lot of workshops with different topics. My Being You classes, the next is coming up in March in Lyon. It's a 1-day class. Before a Right With For You class, before a Joy of Business class, I have a 5-day of explosion package.
Yeah, that's
but the 1-day class is also you can choose it as a single class, and I'm really excited about that. Like being there, coming from Austria, doing it in English and having it translated into French, and it's also live streamed, so you can join from wherever you are. And I will do a 3-day package in Germany with 1-day class of relationships, 1-day money, and 1-day money, relationships, and what's the other one? I don't know right now. Like my head is out. But it's a 3-day thing that you can choose as a single classes or as a package, and I'm really excited about that. And yeah, and at the moment I'm reading the German book with a bunch of people again, and starting every day. And it's so funny, I started it now, and it's going from now to the 28th of February, and then Dain is coming back to Europe, and we have at the next day we're starting an ESP class. So I'm like, it's so cool. Like, this is a really great month, and now we start off this show with having more of these conversations. I'm so grateful. Yeah, I'm available in different countries.
So where would we find more? If so, do you have a website? Is it on Facebook? Like, how do you find you access
At
that?
the moment, I'm easily found on Facebook and Instagram, and my website is gets built right now, and I'm so really excited about that. And my name might be a little complicated for some people, Doris Schachenhofer, but you will find me. And yeah, there.
Well, you're tagged in the creation of this video. Does anybody online have any questions before we let Doris go? It's on a delay too. So what happens is you ask them, and then you sit here and stare at each other for a minute to see if anything comes in. Okay.
I'm super grateful. Hey, when do you, like, you're the host, but also when do you have classes? What's your next?
Oh, thank you for asking. My next class is March 9th and 10th in Boston, Massachusetts. It's a 1.5 day, and I'm super, super excited about it.
You have
Being You classes everywhere, every day, all the places.
Because you have something creative of also the beauty. I don't know the title, I'm sorry, but also the beauty of being you or something, right?
Yeah. Cassie Summers and I have I Am Beauty. It's an online group, and we're starting a challenge next week, and it's really to get people to start looking at their outer beauty and acknowledging it and celebrating it for the difference that it is. And that really is like whether it's you're looking at your body, whether it's your being, there's no one like you, and that's really the essence. So whether yeah, like to acknowledge that, like claiming your brand of beauty, that also creates your being you. And so a lot of times we're like, with our beauty, we're looking at like, oh, if only I could look like that person, if only I look like that person, and then you're doing all the judgment shit that we do with our being as well. Whereas acknowledging that actually and owning it and claiming it and being it is also helpful. So that is hashtag I Am Beauty, the movement. And thanks for asking. I'm grateful.
Yeah, because this is part of it, and this is what I'm like so excited about and so grateful for, that we spread it over the world. Like, we are Being You Facilitators. I would say we have on every continent we have people, like everywhere.
Yeah.
You can find them everywhere, and in a lot of languages. And this is the beauty of it. Like, just look out for Being You Certified Facilitators, the book, Dain, and these conversations in here. And thank you so much for being our host. This is so cool.
You're so welcome. It's so much fun. I love it so much. So you guys, okay, so those of you who are left and those who are going to watch it later, we would love, be so grateful if you would go over to the Adventure of Being You page and give them a follow. We are drumming up these conversations here, and then we're going to be moving them over into the Adventure page group. But we would love to like build the audience. So if you enjoyed this today, we'd be so grateful if you'd go over to the Adventure of Being You page, click follow, and so we can give you more information over there, and you can find other stuff about other facilitators and stuff over there. And my last question is, what if you being you is actually the ultimate adventure? We'll see you next week, next Monday, 9 a.m. And I'll be putting up graphics for whoever our guest is next week. All right. Bye, Doris. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.